This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No. Y'all, just stop. This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Feeling good?
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, looking good. Looking good.
So are you.
Thank you. You guys, I'm sorry for your loss.
I know. Well, I just think
Oh my gosh.
we look very like mellow and kind of a little dark. And then Erica, you come in here, you look like it's Carnival.
Hello.
Erica's always in Mexico. There it is. There's the dance.
The dance.
All right, guys, let's get to it. For the first time, we're getting to see the immediate aftermath of the fatal shooting on the Rust movie set. So the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office released a video showing deputies and paramedics responding to the scene after the cinematographer and director were shot. And as we know now, Helena Hutchins later died from her injuries. We also see police asking Alec Baldwin about the shooting shortly afterwards. Let's take a look.
Are you doing okay?
No, I'm not actually. I was the one holding the gun, yeah. Okay. I'm happy to stay right here and do everything I need.
Do you want a cigar?
Hands are shaking.
So other footage shows rehearsal scenes from the movie, including Alec drawing the gun that was used in the shooting. Here's some of what Alec told the police.
They take the gun, they empty and all the rounds that are in there were either dummy rounds, no flash, cold rounds, or rounds with a flash. In the rehearsal, there should have been nothing. It should have been a cold gun with no rounds inside or dummy rounds, cosmetic rounds, no flash. I take the gun out slowly, I cock the pistol, bang, it goes up, she hits the ground. She goes down. He goes down, screaming.
So the Santa Fe County Sheriff told the Today Show that Alec is still not off the hook and is still too early to rule anything out as of right now. So does this change anyone's mind? I know we were kind of set in our ways how this story was proceeding. Does this extra video change anyone's minds?
I wasn't set in my ways in terms of the players involved and the actual incident itself. I think when we started talking about all of the missed protocols, that's when people really started to come to terms with, like, this is how I feel about it. But in this video, what we're watching right now, I don't know how anybody would react to something like that. It's got to be the most shocking thing to
Right. Well, Erica, that was my point. We're looking at videotape and video, but how do we know that? I'm assuming that he's in shock at this point as he's answering the plea. I wouldn't be surprised if he has no recollection of even talking to that officer. So my issue is, if we start showing this videotape to people and analyzing what was said, what wasn't said, why didn't he ask for this, why did he ask for this, and we're analyzing that, but we're analyzing a person whose mind was gone. So are we then fairly, a year and a half later, are we then being fair to the situation by looking at a scene that was just of its time and of its moment?
Well, I think that's what I don't understand is why release the video. Like,
if there's going to be a trial, you mean?
Yeah.
Before the trial,
to
right.
me, we aren't done with fingerprints and ballistics, right? So I know that Freedom of Information was asked, the act, and journalists wanted more information. Santa Fe agreed, and they've released this video. But to me, this poisons your jury pool. This tells you way too much information about intent, about what happened way before you even get to the court. So I don't understand the purpose of this video. It's graphic. You can, if you want to watch more, you see her moving and him moaning. This does nothing for me other than saddens me for the Hutchins family. I don't understand the reason for this video.
Does it change your mind about Alec Baldwin at all?
No.
You still think he's to blame?
Yes, I do. I do. I think especially as a production company for switching union to non-union and the amount of people that left hours before this because of the lack of safety protocols, that lands on someone.
What if he said this? What if somebody says, you know what, you're right, we should have gone with union, but union would be 10 times more, and so this wouldn't get made. And a lot of things probably would not be made if you had to go union. Those are highly skilled professionals, but also there are things that people enjoy that are not union. And so I think if you do say, well, everything's just going to be union, okay, but then a lot of those people that were on that set aren't going to be able to feed their families. And it's harder to get union
But that decision
gigs.
turned to be fatal.
But it often does not.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's union, non-union. Non-union people are really, really good people. I'm just simply saying when no one knows where that live bullet has come from still,
That's
you
terrifying.
have a problem.
Well, there's still more to this story because the sheriff's office also released footage of the film's armor, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, moments after the shooting. So body cam video shows Hannah, who is 24, 2024 being questioned by deputies. When asked if she is the film's armorer, she said, quote, "I am, or at least I was." She also called herself a, quote, bleeping failure and said she messed up her entire career. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the worst day of my life. I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun. That's so.
The sheriff's office also released video of an interview with the film's ammunition supplier who said Hannah Gutierrez-Reed had asked for a live ammo for a film she was working on prior to Rust. He said he refused her request because live ammo is never allowed on set. So that's where I kind of leave Alec Baldwin, the actor, out, right? Even when he's explaining it. Again, I'm no actor. I'm not Alec Baldwin. But when I'm doing something, I'm working on what I'm like. Listen, I got to remember my lines. I have to draw my gun here. I know my beats. I know what I have to do. When there's a position called armorer, right? If you are in charge of sweeping the hallway, I'm not going to worry if the hallway's swept. I'm not going to worry what's going on with my gun, especially in rehearsal when there's not any ammunition supposed to be in the gun at all. So that's where I think Alec Baldwin is off the hook as far as the actor goes. Overall, production company is a different story.
And remember, though, that firearm or of another firearm went off twice, discharged twice on this film set. So we've had problems with guns before. I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I'm simply saying the buck stops with him as the production coordinator to not have that, or production company manager to not have that taken care of.
How about this last evidence we just got? The woman asking for live rounds.
That was pretty rough. Eric,
right?
What's that face? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean,
why would you do that?
I would really.
And her dad's a very famous film armorer, just so you know, world famous for being on set. So it's not like she hasn't grown up knowing that.
No.
It just. That question is probably one of the biggest looming questions, because other than what we've heard, and we don't know if that's substantiated or not, but there was recreational activity happening right outside of the set that involved live rounds. That's what the story was. So was that like, I think we need an explanation for why live rounds would, other than that, like other than like, hey, we're on set in the middle of nowhere, let's come up with a way to have fun.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
And Hannah is suing the supplier because she's saying it's his fault. So it's become this huge thing of where did that live bullet come from?
Listen, this has become so publicized. Everyone wants an answer and someone to blame. I just don't know if we're going to get it in this particular instance. And speaking of that same thing, Johnny Depp had his final day on the stand yesterday. The jury listened to audio recordings of he and Amber arguing, and at one point, Johnny said he was the victim of domestic violence. The court also heard a bizarre exchange between them 2 months after she filed for divorce when he took out a knife and asked Amber to cut him. On the stand, Johnny explained why he did that. Let's watch.
You want my blood? Take it. Have my blood. And then she said, no. And then I said, look, if you're not going to take it, and you want it, I know you want it, that's all I've got left, take it. If she wasn't going to do it, I would have done it. Because that's psychologically, emotionally where I was. I was at the end. I was broken.
My first question is, why does Johnny Depp have an accent?
I know. It's got that weird British Madonna thing going on.
I'm sorry to make light of it, but yeah, I don't know where he picked up that accent. This is bizarre. That's why I'm making light of this. This is serious in one hand, but on the other, it's completely bizarre.
But is it?
Yeah.
You don't know you've never known any couple that was weird like this, that had weird blowout fights. I'm not
That's
saying,
not what, I mean, we do this story a lot, and each day it's something weirder.
It is definitely strange. Yeah. But we have all seen toxic relationships, and we've all been involved in them. It's not to this extent.
I'm like,
not to this extent.
No, don't.
But I think that this, this situation is sadly not as uncommon as you think. We've all had people close to us that have been in a super bananas relationship. I don't think this is this crazy. I just think it looks crazy in a sterile courtroom setting when you're reading text.
But isn't it like maybe just because we're so used to seeing Johnny Depp on screen, doesn't it feel like a movie to you? Just the way he's delivering his lines, he's so captivating.
He might have a space for a comeback. Like the way he's reading, I'm like, I want to see him do something.
Some people feel like it's too much.
I was going to say,
like,
that can backfire. This is an acting role.
But honestly, I really think it's going to come down to the presentation, him versus Amber. Like, I mean, obviously that's what the whole case is about, like who's believed. But it really does does come down to that presentation. This entire thing, yes, it is bizarre. It is incredibly tragic, but I think it's such a great way for other people to look at, like, this is the road. If you don't make some serious decisions about what you will and will not tolerate
This is door
in a
number one.
relationship, that's what you get.
Yeah.
My question is, even if he wins $50 million, Amber Heard doesn't have $50 million, does
Well,
she?
she's now doing the Marvel movies. I mean, she's really gone out and yeah.
So maybe she does. Got to drag it on until that paycheck comes.
Yeah.
If he wins. Coming up on DBL, the fabulous Jennifer Lewis. She's giving us a behind-the-scenes look at her new show, I Love That For You. And model Lauren Hutton poses topless at 78. She talks about aging without cosmetic procedures.
Closed captioning provided by
This April, connect with Al, Tori, Erica, Jeff, and Sam.
What are we talking about?
Real conversations are on DBL.
I love this story.
That's why you watch every show.
DBL, all new every day.
Ron Funches?
Yeah.
I listen to him on like the Comedy Network. He's
Yeah.
on there all the time.
Yeah.
His delivery's funny, that guy.
Yeah, he's
Oh, sorry. I was talking about
was-
Al about a
She's
comedian.
Aquaman. Just so you guys know, the correction was it's DC Comics,
Wait,
not Marvel.
She's in Aquaman.
Yes.
She's not Aquaman.
No, that's Jason Momoa.
Okay. Well, you said she's Aquaman.
She's in Aquaman.
What's her role?
She's Aquawoman. I don't know.
Aqua assistant.
She's fish lady.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll look it up.
Do you? I wanted her. Well, I'll ask you guys. Are you intimidated by the number of Marvel movies, and that's why you don't
Yes.
watch them? Because everybody's like, oh, you got to get into it. Okay, well, I'll watch The Incredible Hulk. You got to watch Captain America first, but you got to watch Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
and then you got to watch. And I'm like, I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I think you can watch them solo, but
Right.
it adds to more if you're like, oh, that happened from Iron Man.
Right.
Like,
I
I
would
think if
need
you
to
know
do
the
it
whole
like
story.
You need to know the universe.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you need to know the
I have
universe.
no idea.
Erica don't watch
I
Game of
do-
Thrones.
There's this girl, woman, I should say. Her name is Fantastic Frankie on Instagram. She and I were a part of this program called Meta We the Culture, and that's all of her content. And she talks about it from the lens of a black woman, and she's awesome. That's the only way that I get any information about any of
Is
this
this all on
stuff.
tape or what?
It's her entire life's blood. Like,
Oh, no,
that's
never
the
mind,
only
sorry.
thing I know.
Isn't
That's
it,
all I
isn't
know.
Lauren
it so
Hutton?
weird that in the 80s and 90s, we watched bullying take place on an incredible level? And it was always bullying kids, you're nerd, you like dragons and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's lost on society that those same kids that were bullying those kids about dragons and knights and then got super into Game of Thrones. All the stuff we bullied kids in the 80s, not we, but those, it's
not
now
to mention,
popular with
they are
people.
the more successful people.
Yeah, they're going to be making money.
Welcome back, supermodel Al Jackson. No, sorry, that was a mistake in the prompter. Lauren Hutton is sharing her thoughts on plastic surgery. Lauren, who is 78, appears topless on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. She told the magazine, although she has had Botox and collagen, there's a fine line when it comes to cosmetic procedures, and that there are people who she finds hard to look at today because their faces don't look like the people she once knew. Lauren says she keeps her beauty routine simple because she is usually in a rush to get to bed to, quote, make love or read.
Wow. Okay, girl.
I know, get it.
No, not get it, okay? Not get it. I'm so tired of this, like, I'm 80 and I have sex 5 times a week. Get real.
She said I don't read.
Okay, I want to get back to the story, but get real. Get real, okay? With this, having sex is so cool when you're 90.
It is.
No,
She's
it's not.
She said, look.
You don't know. You
Yes,
never
I
been
do.
There.
Listen, it's already going downhill.
Well, maybe there's a come up.
Talking to Jordan right now than you.
Seniors are having a lot of sex, though.
Yeah. Okay, anyways.
Yes. I love this for Lauren. I really do. But I think we got to be really honest about a thing called genetics.
I think you're right.
Good
I mean,
call.
it's like, it's kind of like subtle shade a little bit. You know, like, it's not like she's being mean. And maybe maybe she was one of those people, because she has a very distinctive look.
Her bone structure is
Yeah, maybe she was one of those people who got bullied growing up about the way that she looked, and then it turned out that she had a special look to her.
Yeah.
And, you know, people tend to be a little bit more like, yes.
Yeah, like owning it.
When it comes and it all comes together. But I do think that you have to be honest. Like, there's just some things that, like, some people are blessed with that other people may not have. That's
yeah, like when I work out, sometimes I get a little like bump here, but it's only due to genetics.
Right.
Bicep. And some people can't
all
show.
humans have those.
No, but some people can't get the tone. Mine is clearly only from genetics, only. So I do appreciate you saying that. I always love that Lauren Hutton left that gap in her tooth.
I love that. It's
I always
such a
like
great
that.
look.
I
It's
like that look because I got a little gappy.
I'll tell you two things that are underrated: the gap and freckles. I don't know why, because you always hear about people having their freckles like airbrushed out, and I'm like, that's the best part. I love freckles.
Not anymore. I think a lot of ads that I see now, they're really leaving the natural features. Yeah, it looks good.
I'm also seeing a lot of ads with people with vitiligo. It's something that a lot of black folks have. I have a couple cousins that have it, where it's just the pigmentation.
They leave,
yeah. And now you're seeing a lot of models with that.
Winnie
and I think
Harlow.
people, and it's such a beautiful look. And I think a lot of times people were trying to, it's like, let nature do its thing. And sometimes, like you said, it's good genetics, but sometimes, you know, I think people like different things. You don't have to airbrush, and everybody doesn't have to be the same.
Ironic, Erica's talking about good genetics
I know.
over here, right?
I know. Look at her.
You too, Jeff. Both of you guys are so good looking, it annoys me.
Yeah.
Roosevelt's her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. I think we heard a rap.
We heard a rap.
Erica gets so uncomfortable.
I know. I love it. I like talking about Roosevelt. You need to get him on the cover or something because he's right up there too.
Topless.
Yeah. Who's your daddy magazine?
Oh my God.
He's a good-looking man. That's a big fan.
Who's your daddy?
Gorgeous.
Roosevelt. It's Erica and her dad.
Different type of magazine.
All right, now we'll wrap it up. Coming up on DBL, our interview with the talented and funny Jennifer Lewis. Does she really have a drag queen living in her basement? She's giving us all the deets coming up next.
After the 9/11 attacks, the federal government created a national no-fly list. The list is maintained by the FBI's Terrorist Screening Center, and the Transportation Security Administration says it prevents people who are known or suspected terrorists from boarding a plane to or from the U.S. But what about unruly passengers? In 2021, the FAA said it received 6,000 reports about unruly behavior, and 70% of them were related to mask wearing. The spike in incidents led to calls to create a new no-fly list for unruly passengers. So let's verify. Is there a separate federal no-fly list for unruly passengers? Our sources are the Federal Aviation Administration, the Transportation Security Administration, the Protection from Abusive Passengers Act, and Delta and United Airlines. Currently, there is no national no-fly list for unruly passengers. Airlines can respond to unruly passengers by banning them from future flights, and the FAA can issue fines for bad behavior. Last year, Delta said it banned more than 1,600 passengers, and in February, its CEO asked the U.S. Attorney's Office to add their names to a new national unruly passenger no-fly list. So far, that hasn't happened. So, no, there is no separate federal no-fly list for unruly passengers. The existing no-fly list is only for people who are known or suspected of being terrorists, although Congress is considering a bill that could create one for unruly passengers. Delta and United tell Verify they're open to restoring the flight privileges of some customers who are on their internal lists on a case-by-case basis, and only if they agree to follow instructions from crew members. Delta said especially egregious passengers will remain permanently banned. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Our next guest has one of the most familiar faces in Hollywood and has quite the impressive resume from playing beloved roles on TV, in movies, and on Broadway. She's the one and only mother of Black Hollywood. Check out our interview with the Jennifer Lewis. Please welcome to the show. It is our honor, Jennifer Lewis.
Absolutely.
So excited. Hi,
guys.
Hi. Truly, I follow you on Insta for a long time, so I'm geeking out. But everyone knows you as the mother of Black Hollywood, and I'd love to hear you say, how'd you get that nickname?
Well, you know, I started off in the movie What's Love Got to Do With It? And that sort of launched the mother career.
Yes.
Everybody asked me, Jennifer, why do you play everybody's mama? I say, honey, for that kind of money, I'll play the daddy. I mean, really. I love her. So I played everybody's mama.
Well, you're the best at it, and we're going to stay with the mother topic because you've got a drag queen, the drag queen, Shangela, living in your basement. Can you tell us how that happened and how fun that is?
He's been here 10 years, and he won't go nowhere. And I always tell him, you know, you are not going to be a bigger star than me. He is.
Yeah. He is. Yeah. Jennifer, we're going to get serious for a second here because we seem to always talk about Kanye West on our show, and, you know, I take his back a lot of the times, and I know you've been open about dealing with bipolar disorder yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what don't people outside of Hollywood really understand on this topic?
You know, a lot of people have mental illness in my business, and we get into it because we can hide that mania, hide that depression. I tell people there's no shame in my game. Yeah, I did it. I laid out all my secrets in this book. I have it right here because it's a real important book. And here's the thing. We all have to pay attention. That family member that's dancing on the table at the family reunion, you know, we're busy playing spades going, oh, he's crazy. No, pay attention to the people you love. Reach out. And I always say this. You can't change anybody. You can try to help them, but everybody's got to do it for themselves.
Wow.
I love that.
Beautifully
Thank you. Okay, Queen, we have to talk to you about your new show. I love that for you. Tell us what that first table read as Patricia was like. And you said you'd be scared of her if you met up with her on the street. So why?
Patricia is an ice queen. She is the founder and CEO of this shopping network called SVN. And honey, she's a straight shooter. Having played Ruby Johnson on Blackish for so many years, this character is light years from her, and I'm enjoying that. Listen, let's face it, Molly Shannon and Vanessa Bayer are right out of Saturday Night Live. These are comedic giants, and I had to step up to the plate a little bit. Everybody knows I'm pretty good too, but these two, they got so much love in them that I'm having a blast working with them. You walk on the set, and I walk on the set, and my whole chest feels lighter because I know I'm gonna laugh all day. They've called cut so many times because I'm laughing at these things.
That's the joy. Jennifer, thank you so much, Miss Lewis, for joining us.
You have to come
But
back.
I'm gonna tell you this before we go.
Yeah.
The show is already a hit.
There you go. To our viewers,
so good.
it's so good.
It's so funny.
I love that for you, which is also what we love, but it's also the name of our show. Is available to stream on Showtime April 29th before you'll be able to catch it on air May 1st. There's also a memoir, Walking in My Joy, that I'm buying immediately from you. You are amazing. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Queen.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
A recent headline from the New York Post read, "You're eating a credit card's worth of plastic a week, and it's killing your gut." The article is talking about microplastics, tiny fragments that are less than 5 millimeters in size. You've probably heard about the rise of microplastics in the ocean, but this article says, according to a scientific study, they're also in your stomach. So let's verify. Does a scientific study say a typical person eats a credit card's worth of plastic per week? We checked with these sources: the actual study in question, the authors of the study, and Dr. Faye Katheru. The first thing to note is that this study is more of a statistical model than an actual breakdown of what's in your gut. The researchers didn't have any human subjects. They took dozens of previous studies that measured how many microplastics are found in things like bottled water or shellfish, estimated how much those particles weigh, and then estimated how much of those products a person typically consumes. Because those calculations require assumptions that could vary widely from individual realities, the results of the study are a range rather than one definitive number. Their analysis determined humans likely consume between 0.1 and 5 grams of microplastic per week. 5 grams is the typical weight of a credit card. So if you were to fall on the high end of the spectrum, the New York Post headline is plausible, but it omits the rest of that range. Here's what the lead author told us, quote, "It is not entirely inaccurate, as it is possible that there are people in the world consuming up to a credit card's worth of plastic per week, or more. But it is also important to bear in mind that the findings did not suggest that every individual in the world is consuming a credit card's worth of plastic each week." And here's what another microplastics expert told us.
Looking at it myself, I would estimate something towards the lower end because the smallest particles really don't weigh very much. And so they actually did a calculation in the paper, which was 0.7 grams per week. And I think that's probably about right for the numbers they were looking at.
So we can verify, no, research does not suggest a typical person is eating a credit card's worth of plastic every week. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
COVID-19 had a sizable impact on the fight against STDs. Let's connect the dots. CDC data shows reported cases dropped during the early months of the pandemic before then surging at the end of 2020. Reported cases of gonorrhea and syphilis were up 10 and 7% from 2019. But reported cases of chlamydia, the most common STD in America, went down 13% from 2019. Researchers say several factors contributed to the initial decline, including less frequent in-person healthcare services. That resulted in fewer STD screenings nationwide, shortages of STD tests and laboratory supplies, as well as lapses in health insurance coverage are also factors for the drop in reported cases. The CDC calling for more health providers to prioritize STD prevention and make sure every person has access to health care free from stigma and discrimination. That is Connecting the Dots.
Welcome back. How much exercise do you need to live a longer, healthier life? That's today's Focus on Fitness presented by QB. So experts say the answer is 150 minutes of moderate exercise every week, like walking, and if your workouts are more intense, you can lower the amount of time. And here's a tip. Break up your workouts into 30-minute sessions throughout the week to maximize your results. QB is a great way to get some quick exercise regardless of physical ability or age. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-556-2089 or visit QB.com to learn more. Now, Tori, we know your genetics and buff upper body are perfectly intact.
I didn't mean to say it like that.
I was about to say, you know Jeff's going to get you for that.
I was going to say, how about something for your legs?
Which I don't have good legs, then that's also genetics. I was just simply saying sometimes you can't work out yourself to get more genetics. It's just who your body is.
Get more genetics.
I think we should
try QB to get more genetics. Visit their website. See you guys tomorrow.